Hi guys, welcome back to The Card Inn. For those of you who don't know, my name is James Kiernan. I'm the owner of The Card Inn. So this is going to be sort of like a raw, uncut, honest series of videos called Storytime at The Card Inn. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's going to be a series of videos. I'm going to be sharing stories with you guys about things I've learned in my time being alive. That is a short period of time. Things that I think are of value that can apply to yourself. Just really important things that I've learned and passed on. And I'm going to try and make this my way of giving back, my way of creating value. Because I believe I have learned some important things down the years, whether it be in magic, whether it was from doing the card in, from my studies, from transitioning from a teenager to someone in their 20s, mid-20s. And I believe I've got some interesting things to share. So I'm going to be doing that in this video series, Storytime at the Card Inn. So this first one is going to be sort of like a background, a little bit of context about me, what I've done. It's actually going to be in 3 stages, so it's going to be a bit of context about me, what I've been doing in the last 6 years, and what I've learned from it. It's going to have an underlying topic to it, and this topic is going to be about self-belief, and it's one of the key strengths that I have. So briefly in this video, I'm going to be talking about how I've transitioned from someone as a teenager who was doing really badly at school, badly in sixth form, and started off uni not too well, to transitioning through that, changing a few things in my life, making some new opportunities, having an epiphany, like a whole new way to view life, a whole new perspective, and what that has done for me. How did I get here? How did I get here with the card in and magic? Yeah, so that's going to be it in a nutshell. I'm going to break it down into sort of 3 segments. They might be about 15 minutes each. And I'm also going to answer some questions at the end. I think I had 5 questions regarding this topic. And I'm going to answer every single question. So 15-minute segment. It's going to be a long video. We're going to get straight into it. So like I said, it's going to be a long video, but there will be timestamps. There's going to be timestamps in the bio. So if you wanted to skip to some more specific parts that you think might relate to you, there's going to be timestamps down below. It's been something I've been putting off for a while, but I need to do it because it's probably the last video I'm going to record before I shave my hair off. Because I reckon we're going to be in this lockdown for at least another 2 months. So let's just get straight into the video. So first section, first thing I want to talk about is a little bit of background about me, what I've been doing down the years, and like who I consider myself to be. And the topic, self-belief. Self-belief. So currently I'm 24 years old. I've been doing, well, let's start from the beginning. So I went to university in 2014. I went to study physical education and sports coaching. Did that for 3 years. Then in academic year 2017 to 2018, I studied psychology as a master's. And by the way, when I say university, that means college for people who are in America or other countries. University in the UK, Europe, I'm not sure about Europe. University means college, so what you do after high school. And during that time from 2012 to kind of present day, I've been a football coach. That's been my career before cards came along. So I've been a football coach. I wanted to be a PE teacher. Decided it wasn't for me. Been coaching down the years. In 2018, I decided that wasn't for me. I still do it in tiny little pieces now, in a part-time job. Then, yep, I actually dropped out of my master's right at the end in 2018. Been a magician since December 2017, so like 2 years. And started the card in February 2019, so I've been doing that for a year and a bit. The reason why I want to talk about self-belief is because of how important it is to anything you actually want to do. There's a really good quote that I've heard before that says, "The man who thinks he can and the man who thinks he can't is correct." So essentially, you're right either way. It's because it's your mindset. It's your mindset. So whether you think you can do something or if you think you can't do something, you're right. Because this is what's going on in your head, and the way you think is going to transition into how you actually act and behave. Now, obviously, common sense will tell you that you can't just think something's going to happen. Like, for instance, I can't just sit here and think the card in is going to be amazing just by thinking about it. I actually have to put in the work. I need to have a little bit of luck. I need to create something good, sell something good. There's so many factors that come into that. But all those things, the work, the ideas, whatever, it's all irrelevant if you haven't got the foundations correct to start with. So what goes on up here? So, self-belief. If you don't believe in yourself, the work and the ideas and the ambitions and the goals, it doesn't matter. Because if you don't believe in yourself, this is going to be a lot of rubbish. Because, first things first, if you don't believe in yourself, your goal is not going to be a good goal. Me starting the card in, ever since the very first day I've had the utmost belief it will be something great. On a daily basis that can change, but on the whole, on like the macro, I have an pretty obnoxiously ridiculous self-belief in that I can make it whatever I want it to be. Although I do have I am a bit realistic because I am not like a purebred hustler. I don't work anywhere near like a typical entrepreneur does, I guess. So I know that the carding is limited because of the amount I'm working. I work for it, but I'm not spending all day and all night every single day doing it. So I know there is a limit to it. Why would anybody listen to me talking about self-belief when people don't really know anything about me? So I'm going to talk you through my life I'm going to talk you through my life when I didn't have the self-belief as much and compare it to now when I've actually got some results to back it up. So that's why I'm going to talk you through my little bit of school, a little bit of university, the carding, my career, and now. So when it came to GCSEs, which is the exams you take in the UK when you're 16 years old, I got C's and D's in everything and lower. Apart from one subject in English literature, I got a B, but everything else is C, D. Even in the sciences, I probably got F's. I think I got F's in the sciences. And it was always kind of drilled into me. The message to me was, if you do bad in those things, you're probably going to do bad in life, which is obviously not true. Then I go on to sixth form, which is what you do your exams between 16 to 18. It's what you do right before college, university, whatever. And if you thought the GCSEs were bad, this was even worse. I did English literature, I studied geography, had a great time learning about rocks and trees, and I did PE, physical education, which is my thing, right? And my grades in English literature was an E, my grade in geography was a D, and the thing you probably won't be able to believe is that PE, my subject, for what I was trying to go to university for, I got a U. And for those of you who don't know what a U is, the U is right at the back of the alphabet, and it is right below an F. A U is an unclassified, so the way it works in A-levels is anything above an E, so anything more than 40%, you've technically passed. You've got it, you have the qualification. And I got a 37%. So I got a U, unclassified. It means I didn't get a qualification in PE. And this was the thing I was supposed to go to university to study. And my university needed me. They asked me to get, I think, 3 C's. And obviously I was quite off. But obviously my university, they must have looked at my application. They saw the D, the E, and they saw the U in PE. And they literally looked at it and said, yeah, we'll take you. We'll take you. And to my disbelief, I ended up going to university, and it changed my life. Absolutely changed my life. So let's get into that. So university changed my life. This is why I'm talking about it. I went into university off the back of a U, and my first 3 university grades that I thought, one of them I thought I did amazing at, and I got a 43. I got a 43, which is a positive in comparison to my 37 at A-levels, but university, college now, I got 2 43s and then one of them got 55. And I wasn't really doing much work. I was doing a little bit of work, kind of a little bits, the crucial bits. But there was this one module that really that really caught my attention, and it really got me interested. And I just started doing the readings for it. I'd never done any of the readings before. You get recommended readings by your lecturers. So my lecturer recommended this book. It's called Bounce by Matthew Syed. And this book changed my life, essentially. And why did it change my life? So, in short, there's an argument in the book. The book's argument is, well, it talks about the nature-nurture debate. And in very, very simple, short terms, nurture is the argument that whatever we're born with, we can adapt it, we can change it. You know, like, for instance, you can change your sporting ability, you can change your intelligence, you can change so much. Nature, on the other hand, is kind of like the opposite. It is the argument that whatever you're born with is the strongest indicator of what you end up doing. So if you're born, well, not born, if you're playing sport and you don't start off very well, the argument is essentially that you probably can't change that too much. Or if you're born, if you're bad at reading, if you're bad at writing, it's more so the argument that, you know, that is not going to change too much. Whereas nurture takes it that step further and says you can continuously change it and change it and change it and change it. So, you know, if you're bad at football, if you're bad at basketball, the nurture argument will suggest that by hard work, by meeting the right coach, finding the right opportunities, learning, you can continuously push that boundary and up and up and up and up and up. And it uses case studies. It uses Tiger Woods. It uses well, not just sport. It uses other examples as well. And just reading about this argument changed my life because it shattered this barrier. It changed my perspective on how I viewed everything. So how to relate this to you guys, this is the perfect example, because the person who believes in nature too much will believe that whatever they can do with this deck of cards now, potentially in there, because everyone starts off really bad, right? But then you go through this stage of getting much better, but then you might hit a plateau, you might hit a wall, right? And the people that believe in nature will believe that cardistry magic, that after doing it for a while, they're a certain way, and they're not going to change it. It's probably they might improve a little bit, but it's not going to go that far. The nature argument is that the more you practice with this, the more you learn, your ability is going to go like this. And there's no ceiling. It's just going to keep going. If you're doing the right amount of practice, if you're learning the right stuff, and you have the correct mindset, self-belief, for example. And I believe in that so much. That nurture argument, I believe in it so much. And before, I used to be split down the middle. As I was growing up, I always wanted to be #1 football coach in the world. Literally, Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola. That's what I wanted to be. And I even wanted to be that up until I was 21. Until I fell out of love with it. And looking back, I don't dismiss that as impossible. But what I know now is that I was not working hard enough to get there. I wasn't working anywhere near as hard enough. And I'd say now that I need you need a lot of things to work for you opportunity-wise. But there was absolutely no reason to suggest that I could not have been one of the best coaches. Doesn't mean I would have landed for jobs. But the learning and the practice, there's no reason why I couldn't have become a top-tier football coach. So going back to cards, think about the best magicians you know. There's a concept in this book, and it's called the 10,000 hour rule, which has lots of things going for it, and there's lots of things going against it. But it basically says that people that reach excellence, they have probably done 10,000 hours worth of practice in their life, and to become a master at something, to master something, a craft, you need to have practiced 10,000 hours in your life. So think about the creator of this deck of cards, Daniel Madison, who has mastered playing cards. There's not a shadow of a doubt, but he's done over 10,000 hours. And it's just a concept. It's not like a set in stone, but it's a guideline. It's kind of like, to get to that level of mastery, 10,000 hours is the rule. But the people that believe in nature, they're not going to believe that that amount of practice is going to change too much. That's basically the argument. But it is that argument, it is that concept that has changed everything for me. And for me, I used to say to myself, I'm not an exam person. And I used to think to myself, like, I couldn't really get to the top of my class. Even when I had instilled this mindset, when it got to my final year, I thought I could do well, but I never thought I could be at the top. And when I submitted my final piece of work to my university, the University of Chichester, it was an 11,000 word research report. It was the third highest in the entire year. And it's because of a lot of the things I've just mentioned. That would never have happened if I've never read this book and taken that information in. And this is a good example, like, nurture is not just about practice, it's about the opportunity. If I'd never read this book, I never would have achieved what I've done, so there's lots of factors that come into it. But yeah, nature nurture debate, reading that segment, it changed my life, and it is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing today. If I didn't read that book, I'm sure this would not exist if it wasn't for that. So, coming back to self-belief, I started off my uni career with the 40s and the 50s. This is my grades, 40s and 50s, which are, your Ds and your E's and your F's. I said that book I read, it came from a specific module, and for that module, I changed my behaviour towards uni drastically. Every single week I went to that class, there'd be a reading. You'd have to read this journal report. Every single lecture I had, I'd done the reading. I didn't just do the reading, I went through the book, kind of like what you see with this, except that I would highlight everything. I'd highlight the important bits, I would look up the words I didn't understand, and I became an expert at an undergraduate level. I became an expert in that topic. And then when we had an assignment at the end of the term, as you'd have an assignment for every single topic. It wasn't an exam. It was like a 2,500 word report. And I was an expert. I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I knew what I was talking about. For one of the first times ever in an academic subject, I knew what I was talking about. And I had high hopes. I thought to myself, maybe I can get into that 60 bracket, which at university in the UK, there's like, it's not A, B, it's like first 2-1, 2-2, whatever. But let's just call it a B. I wanted to get into that B bracket, which was 60 to 70. And I got my report back, and I got a 79. And that was the first proof. It was the first proof that what I read from this is possible and it's correct. So my average for that year was, I think my average for that year was 53. I got a 53 average, but I got a 79 in that one report. It's getting a 79 when my average is 53. So it just shows you how bad my other stuff was. But that 79 came towards the end, and it was the first proof that what I'd read is applicable. Because sometimes you can't always get proof. But that was my proof, and it changed everything. So when I went into my second year, I set myself a high standard. I said, I need to get at least 60. I need to get at least 60 in every single assignment I had. And out of the 8 I had for that year, I think more maybe 10. I think I got above 60 in 8 out of 10. Changed the game. And that doesn't transfer into my academics, it transferred into my social life, it transferred into the way I thought I could change myself. I've always been introverted, and I've been called shy a lot in my life, but at that university stage, I became more confident in my abilities. Even playing sport, coaching sport, I just never stopped believing that I could get better at everything. Now, there's some things I didn't, there's some things I don't want to get better at, and there's some things that I can be realistic about my level, but it absolutely changed. I had these barriers and these ceilings in my life, and this just all shot through them, and it opened up so much. And one of the things I'm proud about in my second year of university was that I went to America for 3 months in the summer to coach football at 20 years old, and I didn't have an ounce of anxiety in me when I went on the plane. And a reason why I bring that up is because before uni, 2014, I had a really bad year. I had loads of anxiety problems. And I remember thinking to myself, when is this ever going to change? I didn't think I could change it. And sure enough, with the new sort of thinking I had and perspective I had, I was able to eliminate it completely. Absolutely eliminate all that anxiety and mental problems I had. Absolutely eliminated it. So it just goes to show the importance of this perspective and how it helps me. And it's all fueled my self-belief. This is why I'm talking about it today, and it's so important. I took my average from a 53. By the end of my third year, my average was 67. So I was 3% off the highest bracket. Anything above 70 is the highest bracket. And it all came down to this final year report, 11,000 words, 10,000 words, 11,000 words, on a research, your very own research project about anything. And my research project was about what I'm talking about right now. It's about the nature-nurture argument. And I basically did a research report into how does this belief about nature and nurture, how does it affect how a coach coaches a child, their belief, what they think is possible and what they think is not possible. How does that influence the way they coach the child? And found some very interesting stuff. And it was just the best way to end the year because I was talking about the things I believed in, and I applied it to a real life research project. And I said to myself, kind of in my head, I said to myself, look, my highest grade at uni was a 79. I've never produced a better amount of work. This has to be my best piece of work. And I said to myself, look, I didn't want to get too ahead of myself, but I was pretty confident it'd be a 70 plus. But I said to myself, the perfect grade would be an 80. Because it would be the best work I've done. And I've never got into that bracket, the 80. Everything I had was sort of 70 what, 75, 74, 64. But I never got into the 80s. Whilst I wish it could have been 85, 90, I said to myself, if I could get an 80, that would be the best finish to my university career. And after 3 weeks of waiting on submitting it, opened up my paper, and I got an 80. And I got an 80 in something that I believed in, and it was a summary, it was a reflection on the person I had become at university, because it was about growth mindset and it was about the nature-nurture debate. And the whole argument of the paper was, these coaches, or just people in general, we need to take a look at this nurture aspect, this development, this perspective that we can push these barriers, these ceilings, and we can make massive change. My report was about that. The report, you got an 80, so obviously it was received very well. And the case study is me as well. I went from a 37% unclassified, it's not even a pass at my pre-uni exams, to leaving uni with an overall of 67, and the final report I published was an 80. And that was just the best way. And it was just, again, it was the tangible proof. It was the tangible proof that everything I had read in here, even though it has its pros and cons, it really is possible that we can change things. So that's my university career. That is a crucial lesson I wanted to share with you guys, because I went from being I'm not an exam person to passing. I did a few exams I got over 70 on, and just not thinking I could be in that. I just used to think that I was a mid student, even though my results said I was a lower student. I always thought I was at least a mid student. And even in the year I submitted my final report, I never thought I would be in the top. I never thought I'd be in the top. But it was, out of 100 students, I think it was the third highest grade. So So that just goes to show. It just goes to show. And I worked incredibly hard. I believed. And there was lots of bad times throughout it. There's lots of bad times. But yeah, I always believed. I put the work in, and reading that kind of material that I told you guys about completely changed the game. And I never ever would have got close to an 80 without discovering this kind of material. So wanted to share that really important lesson in this first video of story time with the card in. So what about today? What about what I'm doing now? What have I done since leaving university? So I left the University of Chichester in 2017. I then did a master's in a completely different subject, psychology. Again, because I believe I can do it. And not that it was too hard, it was just something I hated. I grew to hate it. I had a really bad year. I changed university to do this degree. And I dropped out with about a month of it to go before I had to do another dissertation, 11,000 words. I had to do another one of those, and I didn't want to do it, so I left. So I dropped out, which I'm very proud of. I'm very proud of doing it. It was just a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. I got into magic at that point in November 2017. So by the time I dropped out in like mid 2018, I've been doing magic for like half a year. Fueled with this belief that I could take it as far as I wanted, which I still believe. So this was kind of like my saving grace in 2018, which was a really bad year for me. Left uni. I hated football coaching. I didn't want to go into it. Obviously, wasn't going down the psychology route. So I'd studied to become a football coach, a teacher. So what was I going to do? Thankfully, I came across a huge mentor of mine today, Gary Vaynerchuk, who I'll speak a little bit about later. But he basically suggested making content around your passions. If you don't know what to do, just make some content around your passions. And I started making magic content on my magic Instagram account. And I thought I had a good gist of social media. I'd listened to Gary Vee so much. He was an expert in social media. And then I went to get a job in social media. So I did an internship for a CEO consulting company from September 2018 to December 2018. I started off 2019 by starting the card in February 2019. But I was chasing another job, right? Because the card in is obviously not a paying job to begin with. So I actually ended up doing another internship from May 2019 to July 2019. And I'm actually very happy to say I got fired from that job. It was a job that I grew to hate so much for so many reasons. And whilst I kind of expected that I was going to be released, it was still a nasty shock when it happened. But one of the best things to ever happen to me, and it made me go really hard on the card in, and it actually put me into the mindset of I'm going to be a magician right now. I always had this silly saying in my head that one day I was going to be a magician. I said to myself I was going to be in social media, build a career in this thing for after a few years, and then maybe I can build this up over time, and in, you know, I don't know, 8 years, 10 years, I would be a magician and all this rubbish. I got released from the job. Thankfully, it put me out of my misery. And 2 weeks after, I had a gig. It was my biggest gig. It was only my 4th gig actually. I did a summer ball at like this social club. And I was on fire. I'm a big critic of myself in the sense of just to make myself better at things. But my performance, I was on fire. I was in flow. A state of flow is when you're not even thinking. You're doing your thing, what you love, and you're doing it well. And you don't even have to think about it. You don't have to think about it. It's just, it just works and it goes really well. So it was just an amazing night. And then that was, again, it's the tangible proof. Obviously, when we start out magic, we're not at our best. We do cringy things. I still do cringy things. But that night, because I'd worked at the same place doing like lunches and dinners, performances, in April and May. April started off, it didn't start off great, but it got better and better as it went on. I went back in May, great. And then the one in July was amazing. And it just, after being released from the job, and then I did that, only 2 weeks later, I was ready. And I said I was ready and I was going to do it. I was going to do it. But I still needed income. I still needed income, so I got a part-time job coaching football again, because it's not that I wanted to, but it's my roots. I know how to do it. Part-time. And it was good pay per hour for a part-time job. And I've been doing that ever since. I've been doing that since September. But come to October and the card-in has kicked off. So the magic has sort of been put on the back burner. So, change of scenery for the last part of the video. So the card-in. How does this self-belief translate to the card-in? It's a great question. It's a great question that I ask myself. Because the card-in has been a series of disappointments for a long, long time. And it's only in 2020 that things have started to change, really. You know, in my first few months, I didn't put much money into it at all. You know, if you don't put money into something, it's not always easy to get a return. But to put into perspective, I was probably getting about 7 orders a month for February, March, April. I brought in some new stuff in the summer. Still, it bumped back up to 7, 8 orders a month, but obviously that's not a lot at all. It's not a lot at all. Then October came. October was a bit of a breakthrough, because I went from getting maybe 7 orders a month to 15, and I sold £500 worth of decks in October, which was a huge milestone for me. It's like 500 is a milestone number, right? And I doubled my orders for that month. And it was at a time when I was getting into my new job. I was seeing how hard the people in my job were working. Inspired me, because I was a bit more in the heart of the business in my current job, and it inspired me to work that hard. As soon as I got home, instead of like doing something else, I'm straight on the card-in on my laptop trying to do something. November was the same orders, not as much, and then December was kind of the same as well, a little less. But then the Chris Ramsey decks came in, the first fee free, and I had like I think 6 orders in a day, which I'd never had before. And for me at the time, it was a big thing, and I had 23 orders for that month. And I said to myself at the start, it doesn't matter what happens, I'm going to do it for a year. I'm going to do it for a year at least. And just sort of seeing that little increase at the end of the year was really encouraging, really encouraging. But then the new year comes along, and with any new year that comes along, I try and do something different. I wanna set big goals for myself. I set goals for myself all the time, but a new year is like an extra. It's got to be extra. It's just refreshing. It's a new start, right? And I had all these ideas. I wanted to do these collaborations. I knew I had to change the card-in website because it was crap. And then I just started to notice all these unboxing videos people doing, and that gave me the idea for the card-in unboxing experience. And safe to say that I made huge changes. I started January, again, January became my best sales month. Then February I relaunched. And in February I tripled my sales from January. And it was just crazy. And I more than doubled the orders. And it was just amazing, because the card-in relaunch was a year to the day that I started. So when you look at it, I believed in myself from the start. Not only did I believe in myself, I put in the work, and there were other factors too. It was on the 366th day, the first day of the second year, that was when the card-in really became a proper business, because that's when the change, that's when a significant change happened on that relaunch day. March was a similar month, not quite as good. And then April has just been taken to a whole new level. Obviously I had a sale and I brought in loads of new decks, but that's kind of like playing it down a little bit in a way. I'm very realistic, so I know why it's gone up, but it's still gone up. It's a significant jump again. So the card-in was, and I just believe a lot of people who start a store, if it was that quiet for them for that amount of time, they might have given up. But like I said, I have an obnoxious self-belief in myself. And it largely comes from what I've told you about previously, the things I learned, how I managed to implement it into my grades and make these changes. It's all helped me stick it through with the card-in. And like I mentioned, people like Gary Vaynerchuk, mentors in the magic community like Daniel Madison, I've come across these people. I'm lucky to have come across these people. And they all help feed in this particular mindset into me. And I take the best bits from them and I apply it to myself. And it has all helped me stick it through with the card in. And like I said, it's not just because you believe it's going to happen, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. You have to put in the work. You have to be creative. You have to have a bit of luck. You know, there's all these factors. But I am on the verge of, in April, I'm on the verge of doubling my 2019 sales. And we're not even a third of the way through. Well, we're a third of the way through the year. And I'm about to double my whole 2019 sales. And I don't say that to brag. I say that again. It's another tangible way you see it. You can see what you believe and then the actions you put in from that belief. It's just another way I've seen it happen and I've seen it change. So that's the card in. That's how my self-belief has helped me change the card in, and my self-belief is going to help me make the card in even better, because now the confidence I have in the card in and what it can become, it's only going up, and it's only gone up. So hopefully I'm going to be able to bring in some really cool changes and make some really cool things with the card in brand. So I think I've probably spoken enough about my life. I've got 5 questions from community members and I'm going to go on to them. So last little segment, I've got a few questions from a few friends in the community and I'm going to answer them. So one of my new friends, Nelson, Nelson has asked, what's your drive and goals in this business? And do you see yourself doing other ventures? So my drive and my goals is different. My drive is that, 1, I want my life to be immersed in my passion. So my passions is cards, magic, and yeah, that's it. So I'm driven to make that a reality. I believe I can do it. I'm not naive to the amount of work it's going to take. Well, I might be slightly naive because I don't know exactly how much it's going to take. But yeah, I'm driven by that. I don't want to go back to 9-to-5 office. I don't want to stay in my current job for too long. So my drive is to be self-employed and to provide value in my businesses, but to make sure that business can provide for me and create a career for me. In terms of the goals are different. So number 1, a new goal is to have the best unboxing experience in the UK and maybe the world one day in the playing card industry, to have number 1. I want to continue to be or become the most social playing card brand in terms of social media, and eventually create meetups as well. I also want to create. I want the card in to be unique. That's why we did the unboxing experience. But I want to create my own stuff. I want to create the card in. Going to create some decks for the card in the future. But before I do that, I'm going to create my own brand of playing cards. It's going to be separate from the card in. It's going to be its own brand. Maybe create some accessories. Maybe create some accessories as well, because I believe that is a gap. That's a bit of a gap in the market. Creating some really good accessories, or just creating more accessories, utility stuff for your cards and your displays, and creating value. I hope that this kind of video is providing value for people, even if they're taking away little snippets, if it's only helping a few people. I am selling cards at the end of the day. I need money to make the business work. And it is providing value to be a retailer, to get all the decks and put them in one place at good prices and adding an unboxing experience. But I want to be able to create entertaining and educational, informative content as well. So you've got your memes and your fun stuff and deck reviews and stuff like that. But I hope that this kind of video can create some educational and some takeaways as well. So that's my business goals. Another one of my new friends, Blessed Pain. How can I stay motivated how can I stay motivated when I'm not seeing the desired results? That's a great question. And it is the story of the card in. up until recently. It's all about, well, number one, my favourite entrepreneur, Gary Vaynerchuk, and like my number one mentor in life, he talks a lot about the process, the journey, not the destination. Whatever your goal is, whatever your motivation is, he talks about the journey to getting there. Now Gary V's motivation is to own the New York Jets. He wants the money to be able to buy them because it's his team. But what gives him the high is the journey to getting there. And the journey to getting there is full of ups and downs and ups and downs. And he loves the process of doing that. And it's kind of similar for me with the carding. I want the carding to be, let's say the goal is over here. The goal over here is the carding to be this. But along the way, like I'm not even, like the start, let's say the goal is here. So far the carding it went like this. It's just been at the bottom for so long. And now it's just starting to, you know, come up a little bit. And I'm not too concerned about that endpoint. It's motivating for me to see the sort of peaks, the little rises, but they do get followed by some downs as well, and they're losses, right? You make losses. I'm not talking about financial losses, but you take L's, right? You have W's, you take L's. And Gary Vaynerchuk talks about the journey, and he talks about you need to love to learn losing. Did I say that right? You need to learn to love losing. And if you love losing, it's going to make the wins even better. And that's been the case for me with the card in the quiet periods when getting an order or two a week was amazing for me. And now that's changed. Yeah, you have to learn to love the losing part. Believe, you know, I'm talking about self-belief here. You need to carry on believing that you can get there. But you have to put in the actions as well. You have to put the work in. You might need a little bit of luck. It's so dependent on what your goal is or what your motivation is. But you need to understand that just because you're not where you want to be now, it doesn't mean that you can't get there. And I would suggest surrounding yourself with people who are going to help you get there, whether that's in person, not during the coronavirus, but whether that's in person or whether it's mentors. Like, I've got mentors online. I don't know Daniel Madison. I don't know Gary Vaynerchuk. Muhammad Ali was a huge role model for me. My biggest role models are people I don't know. So use the power of the internet for information, for inspiration, and for fantastic advice. And that is my answer to that question. Vincent, VMagic6. What advice would I give to my younger self? It would be the messages from this video is, doesn't matter where you are now, doesn't matter what you can do, doesn't matter what you can't do, you can make changes to it. If you're, there might be young people who are here in school that hopefully can take something, I don't know what the word is, but they can take something from the fact that I used to be so bad at school and I managed to change it. It doesn't matter. You might not like the way you look. You might be upset that you're not good with cards, or that you're not a social person. You might be upset that you find it hard to socialize with people. You can change it, and the vast majority of people watching this video are going to be very, very, very young, or you're going to be young, or even if you consider yourself to be elderly, you're in your 50s, your 60s, you still probably have a good 20 years to do and make changes to whatever it is you want to change. Can't change everything, but for people like me, I'm 24. I was talking to a friend on the phone the other day, someone in the carding community, and he was talking about being 31 and being old, but he's not old. He's got so much time. He's got so much time to do everything. And like myself, especially for you, Vincent, obviously you're a young boy. You have your whole life ahead of you, just like I do, and just like so many people. So, advice to my younger self is that it doesn't matter what's going on now, it will pass, and there's so much you can change in your life. Next question, Sam W. Brown has asked, is the card selling business profitable? Yes, if you work hard, if you're very, very patient, if you're creative, and if you provide value back to the community, yes, it can be profitable. It's from Alex Bow. Do you believe self-belief is infectious and can help people believe in themselves? Yes and yes. The reason why I say this is because it's what I just mentioned, surround yourself with people. So Gary Vaynerchuk, and actually not Gary Vaynerchuk, it was someone else, another person, Vin Yang, who's a speaker, magician. I heard this quote from him, but obviously he got it from someone else. He talks about a top 5. You need to, if you want to feel more optimistic and happy and believe in yourself, you need to surround yourself with people who are like that. You know, if you're believing in yourself, if you want to believe in yourself, or if you want to lose weight, if you want to gain weight, if you want to be a millionaire, and you hang around with people who are the exact opposite of that, you know, if you want to believe in yourself and you hang around with only negative people, that's going to have an effect on you, and that's going to be infectious in a bad way. You know, I've been around people. I'm trying to start the card. I'm trying to start a business. I might tell people, oh yeah, I'm not making any money. Some people are going to react to that in a bad way. They're going to be negative, and that can be infectious to me. That can bring my spirits down if you don't have if you don't have strong, developed belief in yourself. So I would suggest, if you want to believe in yourself more, surround yourself with people, or listen to people who do. It's about creating an environment, seeking an environment of people who you want to be like. You know, if you want to be a great magician, surround yourself with great magicians. If you want to be a great writer, same thing. If you are struggling with your mental health, you need to find people on the internet or in real life who have maybe gone through some problems and have overcome them. So yeah, I do believe it's infectious, but it can be infectious in a bad way or a good way. It's going to be good, it's going to be bad. If you're around negative people, they're probably going to infect you in a bad way. If you're around positive people, optimistic people, if you're around hard-working people, it's probably going to feed off on you. So that's my advice on that. From Matt Bryan, how do you stay motivated when you really don't feel like it? So it's kind of similar to Blessed Paim's question. It's a little bit different though. Some days you're not going to feel it. There's been a few days when I just didn't do anything to do the card in because I felt a bit burnt out, or it was just a bit overwhelming. And sometimes it's good to just stop and not do it. On the other hand, you might just be feeling a bit lazy, or you might have to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. You've done 1 to 3. It's just that last bit you can't. Maybe you're not feeling motivated, or maybe you're not motivated because your esteem took a bit of a hit. It's hard because it depends on the context. Like, sometimes you might need a rest. Sometimes you might need to watch that motivational video. You know, there's been times when I've needed some sort of source of inspiration. I put a Gary V video on. If I'm trying to get back into magic again, I might watch a video from a magician I really like, and it just helps me get back into that. But it's quite a broad question, so it's hard to answer the specificity of it. So yeah, I can't answer it too well, but those 2 points is what I have to offer. So that's a wrap for the first video of story time at the card in. My topic today was about self-belief, giving you a little bit of context about my life, how I've cultivated self-belief, why it's been really important for me, and just things I've learned along the way of being a student, an entrepreneur, and just in my career, the good and the bad. I mainly spoke about the good times and how I developed in a good way. But there's certainly bad periods I went through. But maybe I'll share as well, because there's probably some good insights from that, because you do learn a lot from adversity. So I hope you guys liked it. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on the video below. What you liked, what you didn't find as useful, or any suggestions for the future. Any topics you want me to talk about. My disclaimer is that I'm not a life coach. I don't claim to be an expert in many things. This is just things I've experienced and things I'm passing on. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a like. Please subscribe to our channel if you liked it as well. And until the next time, I'll catch you later on.